Welcome to the Random Bites podcast, available on Spreaker.com, iTunes, Google Play, and just added to iHeartRadio. A new podcast every day featuring interviews and a unique take on the world we live in. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Random Bites. Here is your host, Alan Wayne. It's exciting times in the kingdom of podcasting, ladies and gentlemen. It is exciting times indeed. Podcasting is actually more popular now than it ever has been. Funny thing, radio is still holding strong as the main medium for people who listen, but digital music and podcasting are quickly catching up. Now, it's an exciting time in podcasting. There are so many ways to monetize your podcast. There are so many ways to put your voice out there. There are so many ways, so many podcasts. God damn, there's like millions of podcasts out there on everything you could think of. Everybody seems to have a podcast. Everybody and their mother. It's a very popular phenomenon. It is the wave of the future. And it's very exciting times because two of the largest podcast hosting services in the world, Spreaker and Blog Talk Radio, have decided to merge. These two are inherently same, but inherently different, and I'm going to discuss those differences. But first, I'm going to give you my source. This is from allaccess.com, of which I am a member. Allaccess.com is basically a radio trade newsletter, website, whatever you call it. It's a website, newsletter. They put out news all the time, Nielsen ratings, things like that. Very interesting stuff for a radiohead like myself. And when I saw this, I was like, I got to talk about it. So, Spreaker Blog Talk Radio merge. Podcasting platforms Spreaker and Blog Talk Radio are merging after the company's respective boards voted to approve the combination. Okay, so these two boards decided to talk about a merger, probably months and months and months in the making, and then they decide to merge. So this has been going on for quite some time behind the scenes. A merger is not something that just takes place right away. It's something where both sides decide that they are going to be better off together than separately. Now one has to wonder, which company was flagging here? In the merger of Sirius and XM, it was obviously XM Radio because Sirius Radio bought out XM Radio. In order for a merger to occur, somebody has to take over someone else. There are very few equal mergers where two sides decide, hey, let's get together. No, it's because one brand is flagging, another brand is thriving, and they decide that the two sides will come together and make something great. I wonder if it's Blog Talk Radio that's flagging or if it's Spreaker. I would bet that it was Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio has not changed its formula ever since it started in 2006. Yes, like Libsyn, it's one of the grandfathers of podcast hosting, and it was an innovator of its time with its live talk party line type system where you could broadcast yourself and take callers, up to 50 at a time. There were some great shows on Blog Talk Radio, and there still are, I'm sure. How will this affect them? I wonder. But Spreaker came along and gave people, anybody, an average person, the ability to broadcast themselves and just put their podcast out there for free. Spreaker was an innovator. Spreaker's console, easy to use, very, very sharp for its time, and just the potential of Spreaker is huge, was huge. By the way, if you're wondering why this doesn't sound like any other podcast you hear on iHeartRadio, it's because I do every podcast live. Why is that? Because I believe people like a stream of consciousness better than a bunch of pre-recorded cutout drivel. I hate podcasts, as I've said before. I hate, air quotes, podcasts, because all they are is just boring, regurgitated information set behind some really nice and fun sound effects. There's nothing really to them. There are people I read on podcast blogs that say, I spend hundreds of hours on my podcast a week. Well, I ain't got that kind of time. If I spent hundreds of hours on my podcast, shoot, I would be a professional by now. But I have a life. I have things I have to do, and podcasting is something I do to enjoy, or for enjoyment, rather. So, if you hear a lot of ums and ihs and that's because this is live radio. That's because I enjoy live radio as well. I don't like something canned, and I hope you don't either. But back to the topic at hand. Podcasting platform Spreaker, yes. The resulting company will be led by Spreaker CEO Francesco Baschieri as president. Haha! Okay, so we learned there. It was Spreaker that had the upper hand. Blog Talk Radio coming to Spreaker. Why? How you doing so good? What do you guys are doing wonderfully. What is your secret? That went to the table, I would bet. But I have information from an insider, somebody who knows the president of Spreaker, somebody who has been in on conference calls with the said president of Spreaker, that he was asking this particular host, who had also been on Blog Talk Radio, what is that whole thing that they do with the phone and the 50 live callers and everything else? And basically she said, well, it's something that was established by Alan Levy, the founder of Blog Talk Radio, to help his dying father talk to all of his relatives at once. And then he decided to turn it into a radio platform or a podcasting platform. And he has the patent on the technology. This was a couple years ago, but the president of Spreaker seemed to be very, very interested in that idea. This host will take credit for this merger, but who knows? Who knows except the parties involved, right? All I know is that in order to have conference calls with the president of Spreaker, this host is extremely weighty and is extremely well thought of by the Spreaker brass. She's an all-star. She's a superstar, no doubt about it. So, Francesco Baschieri will be leading as president. The platforms host over 50,000 podcasts in total. 50,000. Now, why would two companies like this come together? Well, iTunes hosts over 1 million podcasts. Libsyn hosts close to, a few 100,000. These numbers, 50,000 podcasts, it's not that many when you think about the grand scheme of things and how much iTunes has out there. With Google Play emerging as a viable podcast option, with TuneIn and let's see, what are the other ones? Oh, Sonos and Spotify getting into the act. It's only a matter of time before there's some companies that start to fall by the wayside, aka SoundCloud. SoundCloud had to be bailed out of bankruptcy at the very last minute. SoundCloud recently, about 2 years ago, put out basically a area for podcasts, for podcasters. A very attractive, very good-looking, very cool area for podcasters, and I do use SoundCloud to distribute my podcasts. However, there will be winners and there will be losers. Perhaps Spreaker and Blog Talk Radio decided that they were better together than apart to face these mega giants like iTunes and Google Play in this market. I will say this, Blog Talk Radio and Spreaker give the amateur announcer or amateur broadcaster a very unique opportunity to be able to broadcast live, to be able to do it like the folks on the radio. Instead of cutting and pasting something on Audacity and sending it out and uploading it through FeedBurner, you can actually go live and interact with your audience. It's very attractive and a great idea. And I think both of them are well ahead of their time in these ideas. And I think that their merger could only mean good things for podcasters. The article continues. The exact nature of the merger, including the combined company's name and how the platforms will be integrated, will be announced in coming months. I wonder what that's going to be. BTR Spreaker is my vote. I think BTR Spreaker rolls right off the tongue. I think it sounds good. I think it incorporates both companies. It doesn't have one taking one over. It's kind of the Sirius XM approach. You get two names, you just jam them together. BTR Spreaker would be awesome, I think. But I don't know what they're going to do. There's some other funny ones I thought of, like Spreak Talk Radio, Blog Spreaker Radio, or just simply Blog Talk Spreaker. That would be an interesting name too, Blog Talk Spreaker. Take the radio completely out of it, because we're not in the time of Marconi. We're not broadcasting over 50,000 watts using towers. This is the internet. This is wires. This is different. We're doing something completely different here on the internet. So maybe take the radio out of it. Blog Talk Spreaker. That might be a good thing. If you're listening to this, feel free to make a comment on one of the many platforms that I am distributed upon, and let me know what you think a good name would be. Now the article continues. Baschieri said, "We're combining Spreaker's best-in-class mobile and web content management system." Okay, so we're thinking that the app's going to stick around. I'm thinking that the the content management that they've been rolling out and was in beta and now is part of Spreaker's been doing a lot lately. They established a monetization service where you can have ads run through your podcast and you could get paid for them. They also established a content management system which basically separates it from the main profile page, if that makes any sense, makes it a different little thing. And it's very in-depth. You get to see all of your... Spreaker has it all. Spreaker is, in my opinion, the best podcast host on earth. I believe that with all of my heart. That's why I kept coming back to Spreaker. Even after I had some problems with some of the folks on Spreaker, I kept coming back because I believe in Spreaker. I believe it is the future. And I came back to get on iHeartRadio, which I eventually did. And that's a point of pride for me. So I continue here. So they're keeping the creation tools. So just by the statement of Baschieri, the Spreaker Studio, which they've been working on, which I am currently using now, which I will admit is a little buggy at times, but is overall very solid. The console, the old school console, which provides a massive amount of control, and the different bells and whistles that Spreaker has implemented in the last few years are sticking around. Perhaps they're getting rid of that antiquated party line phone system that Blog Talk Radio has. Maybe they're going to integrate it somehow and completely eliminate the Skype option on Spreaker. Who the hell knows? I certainly don't. Now they say combined with Blog Talk Radio's first to market monetization platform. Okay, so Spreaker recently unveiled a monetization platform, where you have ads run and, based on your listens, you get paid. I am up to a whopping 75 cents. The minimum is $10. So I've got a ways to go. Please click play over and over and over and over again. I would like to get paid. Please do. So, in any case, the First to Market Monetization Program, the merged company operates at massive scale, delivering unique value to independent hosts, podcast networks, and larger mainstream publishers alike. That is excellent. That is extremely excellent. You keep the things that make Spreaker great, but then you take, you integrate certain tools of Blog Talk Radio. Whoever decided that both of these things were going to come together, hey, it might be a masterstroke. There's many different ways to fuck it up, though. If you were to take Blog Talk Radio's party line system and you were going to just, implement it, just, get rid of all the Spreaker Studio, get rid of all that hard work, get rid of the console, and just put it as Blog Talk Radio, you would have shitty audio. Pure and simple. Spreaker beats Blog Talk Radio every single time on audio because it doesn't sound like you're talking on a phone, like TalkShoe. It doesn't sound like you're having some kind of phone conversation or you're speaking through a walkie-talkie. It sounds like you're on the fucking radio, and Spreaker is the best at that. So, the article continues with Baschieri saying, Blog Talk Radio recently released its, quote, big data audience data solution, Cortex. Through the combination of this technology platform with Spreaker's sophisticated mobile apps and creation tools. So that tells me that the Blog Talk Radio phone party line thing is going away. And that Spreaker's studio app, Spreaker's console, the ability to utilize Sam Broadcaster and IceCast and all of those different things are here to stay. That, for me, is exciting because I tried Blog Talk Radio and I just really did not like the way it went. I also tried TalkShoe. I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. My voice sounded like shit, like more than it normally does. It sounded terrible. I'm an audiophile, and for that, Spreaker is excellent. I don't want to record a podcast looking at Adobe Audition and cutting and pasting and clipping and forming and doing all this stuff. I don't want to do that. I want to go on, I want to kick ass, and I want to get off. That's what everybody wants to do, right? Go on, kick ass, get off. And that's what I want to do. And Spreaker allows me to do that. Blog Talk Radio, too many bells and whistles, get rid of all the shit, and stick with what's better. Spreaker's content system and their mobile apps and their creation tools are better than Blog Talk Radio, which is why I believe Blog Talk Radio went to Spreaker begging for this. Okay, it says we can deliver the, quote, holy grail to the podcasting industry. Targeted buys enriched by analytics and audience data that provide extremely high accuracy and transparency to advertisers, while also providing rich feedback loops for content creators to improve their content. In other words, this is highly technical lawyer speak that Baschieri is engaging in right now. He's saying, let me see if I can put on my bullshit glasses. Oh, hold on. Okay, my bullshit glasses. Targeted buys enriched by analytics, which means they take a look at a bunch of data, they do a bunch of tables, and they see which advertising works best for the best demographic. They try to make a match there. And audience data that provide extremely high accuracy and transparency to advertisers. So the advertisers want to see where their money's going. They obviously want to say, well, why advertise on Blog Talk Spreaker or Blog Talk BTR Spreaker? Why do that? And the reason is because X, Y, and Z. Here's the data to back it up. We have this much demographic listening, 20 to 40 listens, this much time, and then they can market that to advertisers and get more advertiser dollars. I can see that. And let's see, it says providing high accuracy and transparency to advertisers while also providing rich feedback loops for content creators to improve their content. Rich feedback loops. What is rich feedback loops? That could be numerous different things. So basically, Spreaker already puts out a newsletter with podcast tips and whatnot. I wonder if that's an extension of that. I don't know. That's a little too lawyer speak for me. Baschieri continues, this tightly coupled capability, supported by Spreaker's existing promotional deals and distribution channels with the likes of iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Sonos. Okay, so iHeartRadio is, everybody kind of understands that iHeartRadio is struggling right now. iHeartRadio can't pay its bills. In fact, Spreaker was so cool back about 3-4 years ago. They gave you 10 free years with a station account, which is a $20,000 value if you made it on iHeartRadio. Many people took advantage of this. iHeartRadio, they basically screened your podcast and they said, okay, you're in. Spreaker covered you. Spreaker covered your channel for like 10 years, okay? And that was a great deal. I didn't jump on it when I first got here, so, shame on me. But I still take it as pride that I made it on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio is still fucking huge. iHeartRadio might even be too huge to completely fail. This is encouraging because Spreaker is not leaving its partnership with iHeartRadio. Spreaker is, in fact, utilizing it in this merger. And Sonos, I've never heard anybody on Sonos. I don't know what Sonos is, but iTunes is the big daddy. So basically he says, this will make our company an instant leader in the space. Well, you've got a ways to go there, Baschieri. You look like you're working with iTunes, but you've got Libsyn, you've got but comparing Libsyn to Blog Talk Radio or Spreaker, it's like comparing, excuse me, this is live radio, folks. It's like comparing, I don't know what it's like it's apples and oranges. Libsyn, you can't broadcast live on Libsyn. You cannot record yourself on Libsyn. All Libsyn is basically a big fucking server. You just send it up there and then, it'll replay. That's what Libsyn is. And they give you an RSS feed. Whoopee. Everybody gives you an RSS feed. Not a big fan of Libsyn. So, bottom line is, I have questions, and I'm sure that other podcasters have questions. Like, for instance, when is my voice going to go out? Probably in about 2 minutes. So I'm going to take a sip of something here. Bear with me. Live radio, live podcasting, not clipped. Okay. I think I can go another few minutes. I've been fighting this cough. It's been amazing. Okay. So where was I? Oh yeah. Concerns. Concerns with a Spreaker and Blog Talk Radio merger for me. Obviously, it's all about money, baby. It's all about the price. Is the price of Spreaker going to go up? And my guess is You're listening to me pour water into a cup, by the way, because I'm going to make myself some coffee in just a moment. My guess is yes. My guess is that the podcasting service right now that I'm using, the broadcaster plan, is going to go up to either $24.99 or $29.99 within the next 6 months. That's not going to make a lot of people very happy. Because Spreaker, I mean, for $19.99, you get 500 hours of storage. Great deal. Great deal. And you get all the bells and whistles. You get to use all the tools. You get enough analytics to make you dangerous. It's perfect. It's the perfect price point for someone like me. Excuse me. But if you talk to, say, like, if you see Blog Talk Radio, their similar program is only $39.99. It's like double, right? Their similar type of goodies and everything else, $39.99. So I would say they're going to meet in the middle at $29.99. Prices are going to go up across the board. That is concerning for a lot of Spreaker broadcasters, but Spreaker was eliminating the freebies anyway. I mean, Blog Talk Radio has a trial method or trial plan for free, which is 30 minutes. Spreaker's is 15, and you get like, I don't know, an hour of storage. You don't really get much time for free. I mean, that's up there with Buzzsprout and other places. You only get a couple hours free, and then rest you have to pay for it. They're hoping that with that free trial that you fall in love with the service. Spreaker, I did. That totally worked for me in Spreaker. I fell in love with the service with the free trial, and I ended up becoming a paying subscriber. But the main thing here is that I hope that this company doesn't grow too huge, because then they start forgetting what their base is. They start forgetting what they were created on. And Spreaker was created on a bunch of hacks. Spreaker was created on a bunch of people who wanted to just talk shit on the radio, and a bunch of people who decided to take it to the next level. Now, granted, Spreaker is one of those RSS feed destinations for several different podcasts, including The Moth, Mark Maron's WTF, everything. You know, you can find everything on here. But it's that live recording capability that sets it apart, and set Blog Talk Radio apart. Now, with Blog Talk Radio and Spreaker together, you're going to see some serious shit. It's going to be fantastic. Aside from the obvious increase in dues you're going to have to pay, if they leave everything the way it is on Spreaker, yeah, the BTR people are going to be pissed off. But hey, in mergers, it's never equal. There's always a winner and always a loser. And, you know, those folks are just going to have to adapt. I don't know how it's going to work. Are the BTR people going to keep their party lines while Spreaker people keep doing as they were doing? It's going to be interesting to see. But I will tell you one thing. It is a hell of a time to be a podcaster. Thank you for listening to the Random Bytes podcast. Remember to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play, and remember to look us up on iHeartRadio. Also, become a part of the radio revolution by donating on Patreon, www.patreon.com. Just look for the Random Internet Radio Show. And don't forget, you can hear the Random Internet Radio Show live every Saturday night only on Spreaker.com. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, always be random.